One of you guys left a comment recently on a video that I'd done about smash days, and the suggestion was to change the entry criteria, and it was quite interesting. So in part of this video I'm going to apply that modification, I'm going to adjust the rules to the strategy, and then I'm going to test it out and I'm going to show you how it works. And in the other half of the video I'm going to take the original smash day rules that I've used in previous videos and I'm going to apply them to 13 different Forex pairs, because I've shown you how it works on euro dollar, but some of you guys have been asking what other markets does it work on. I won't go back over the rules for the smash day in this video, but if you want to see, I'll leave a link to the video that I've done all about the smash days so you can see exactly how it works. Now, I already know what other markets the smash day pattern works on, because I've tested them and prepared for this video. But even after testing, if I didn't find that the smash day pattern worked on any other Forex market apart from euro dollar, I would still say it's okay and a valid strategy for euro dollar. I don't expect strategies to work across all different markets. I know some people do, I don't. I believe that the Forex markets, or all markets, they all tend to move slightly differently, and therefore a strategy like the smash day strategy working really well on euro dollar, I wouldn't expect that to go and work just as well on pound dollar, for example. And the same goes with time frames. Just because something works really well on a daily time frame, I don't expect it to work equally as well on a 10-minute or a 60-minute chart. That being said, all the tests that you're going to see me run on the other 13 Forex pairs are all going to be done on a daily chart, like my original video. But I definitely could apply it to some different time frames, maybe hourlies, 4 hourly, 3 hourly. It's definitely worth looking at. So let's go and have a look at the results and see how they do work. So the first thing we're going to do is look at that new entry rule which was suggested. For those of you who remember what a smash day setup looks like, once we see the smash day setup, the day after, let's say we're going to go long, so it's a buy setup. So the day after the smash day, we set a buy stop order at the high of the smash day. And if the highs get broken, then maybe the new trend is underway and it's a good time to get in the trade. Now, with this modified entry, we're not setting a stop order at the high of the day, we're actually setting it at the opening price of the smash day. And that's going to be the same whether we're using a long or a short trade. Whereas before, using the previous rules, for a long trade, it was the buy stop order at the smash day high, and if we were going short, then it would be the sell short stop order at the smash day low. This is going to be the same level whether we're going long or short. So let's have a look on the charts and see how it performs. So in this workspace, these are all smash day setups. Now, this first one that we're looking at here, this is the normal smash day setups. And those of you might remember that I do use an extra filter to get us in and out of a trade. And I'm looking at a look back, and I typically optimize that. Now, Larry Williams suggested using between 3 and 8, and I generally optimize between 1 and 10. So I'm just going to show you the basic optimization. Now, this is using the original rules, okay? So I've done an optimization on the look back from 1 to 10, and just take a look at the results. Look at the net profit. The least net profit is probably at 4, which was 50,000. Taking every smash day, we're looking at 60,000. So we've got 59, 50, 63, 70, 76, 81, and that was the one I ended up using in that previous video or that previous strategy. But notice how consistent all of these numbers are. Whichever look back period we're using, they're all very consistent numbers. That's what I want you to just take notice of. Now let's go to the new smash day rules. Now here the rules are we're entering at the opening price of the smash day. You can see here our stop order was set at the opening price of the smash day, not the high of the smash day. And I've done that same simple optimization. And look at the results here. We've gone from a minimum of 13,000, taking all the smash days, up to a maximum in this test of 71,000. So there's a much bigger range of results here. They're not as consistent, and they even drop off a little. Look, we've gone from 13, 24, 30, back to 22, up to 43, up to 71. So they're just not quite as consistent. But nonetheless, 8 tends to be the best, which was the same as using the previous entry rules. So let's select that and see how it looks. So we're making 71,000. The previous, using 8 as the filter, was making over 80,000. So not a lot in it. And there's the equity curve. And this is going from 2010 right the way through to the end of 2021. And it's a really nice looking equity curve. Total trade analysis, we've got a large average trade, look, $539. The long curve, the short curve, and it actually looks really good. The only thing that does concern me is the stability of it. Possibly we could be curve fitting slightly. I would like to run this through some walk forward analysis and see how it fares there. Now the next chart I want to look at is the same strategy using that new entry criteria, getting in at the smash day open, but this is on pound dollar because that was actually suggested. And I've done the exact same optimization looking at the look back. And here's the results, look, from 1 to 10, and look at the net profit. In fact, they're all negative until we get to 9 as a look back, 10 being the best. And I wonder whether we go even higher, whether numbers would start increasing even more. Let's select 10 just out of interest. We know that the rest of them don't make money. And that's what the equity curve looks like using 10 as a look back. Personally, I don't think this is tradable on pound dollar. What do you think? So let's move on to those other markets that I've tested with the original smash day rules. Here you can see we've got all of the other Forex markets that I've tested. And what I'll do is just very quickly go through them one by one, looking at the equity curves to start with, because that's always a great starting point. So you'll notice on each window, if you look in the top left-hand corner, it tells you what market it is, New Zealand, US dollar, okay? So let's start with that one. And I'm using the same inputs at the moment on every market. I'm using 5 as the look back for the filter. I've got no stop loss and I've got no exit. The only exit is just the stop and reverse exit. Let's go through the equity curves. That's New Zealand dollar. That's fairly up and down, but going in the right direction. US dollar, Japanese yen. I don't like that at all. It's pretty much flat the whole time. Little spike towards the end though. US dollar, Swiss franc. That's pretty awful, apart from, although maybe from 2015 onwards it's been working quite nicely. US dollar, Canadian dollar. Ah, now that's not too bad. That's something that I would like to take further and look into doing some more optimizations. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Okay, it's pretty terrible. Euro dollar, we know that works because we've made a video about that before. Let's just look at the basic equity curve, and that's what it looked like before I started really looking into it and changing the exits. Pound dollar, that's showing a little bit of promise. Pound Japanese yen, that's pretty terrible. Pound Canadian dollar, not very good. Euro New Zealand dollar, awful. Perhaps we could reverse the rules and make something work with that one. Euro yen, certainly been working since mid 2012. Euro pound, yeah, I don't really like that equity curve. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, it's pretty all over the place. There's some good periods and some bad periods. And Australian dollar, US dollar. Again, since 2010, it's pretty much gone sideways. Don't particularly like that. So out of all those other markets that I've tested on, I liked the look of New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and US dollar, Canadian dollar. Pound dollar also didn't look too bad, but I'm not going to take that any further in this video. We're just going to look at those two markets and I'm going to run some quick optimizations and show you how I go from the basic strategy, the basic inputs, to what I'm going to look for next. But before we do that, if you want to learn some more rule-based algorithmic trading strategies, then you can download my free 22-page Beat the Markets strategy guidebook, and I'll give you 3 more strategies in there which work. And if you find the link in the description down below, you can get that absolutely free at the moment. Now let's take a closer look at those other 2 markets. So here we have the 2 markets, US dollar, Canadian dollar, and New Zealand dollar, US dollar. And the first thing I look at is that look back period. I mean, there is no fixed rule about which input you should look at or look at optimizing first. But for this study, that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to look at that look back period first. So looking at the look backs, 1 to 10 again, the numbers here are reasonably stable. We've got some higher numbers through the middle there, and then they tail off towards the outside. But 5 does actually look a stable input, and it's the best one. And funny enough, it is the one that we started with. It's the one that I've tested them all on. So we're going to leave 5 as the look back period and move on to the next optimization. And the next one, I'm just going to look at a basic X bar exit. I'm saying I just want to exit after 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, just to see how it works. And if I've got some stability here, then I'll be happy to move on to the next stage. Using -1, that's having no exit. We're just using a stop and reverse, and that's actually giving us most profit. But then as soon as we go above 4, 5, 6, anything above that, we've still got some nice stable profits, although they're still not as good as using no exit whatsoever. We really could choose any of these because they're all fairly stable. I think I'll choose 13, and let's see what that looks like with the equity curve. And that's what it looks like using 5 as the look back and 13 for the X bar exit. Now I could go on and test other exits like the first profitable close, and I also need to get a stop loss in there. So that's something that I could go with further. But let's have a look at New Zealand dollar versus US dollar. So again, first optimization I do is looking at the look back. And very quickly I see using 1, that's taking every trade, 2, 3, 4, then the numbers start to decline quite a lot. So the best number is actually 3. 4 is pretty good, 2 is pretty good. So 3 could be stable, although I really don't like the way that these numbers decline. But let's use 3 for now and move on to the next optimization, where we're going to look at that X bar exit. -1 is the stop and reverse, and then as we start exiting after 1 bar, 2 bar, the results are quite stable. And some of the best numbers, stable numbers, 10 bars, that looks quite good. Let's have a look at what that looks like. And that's what the equity curve looks like, using 3 for the look back and 10 for the X bar exit. I might look into those markets, those 2 markets, in more detail. Although from what I've seen at the moment, my confidence isn't quite as high as what it was when I was looking into using euro-dollar. With euro-dollar, when I was adjusting the inputs, everything seemed to work. It didn't matter which input you selected, it worked. That for me is a sign of robustness, but nothing's guaranteed. The signal just could stop working. These are the Forex markets after all. And that was only just some preliminary testing, and I started with a 5 as a look back, and I started with a stop and reverse, no stop loss. You could start with different inputs before you start doing the optimizations, like I mentioned. There is no set rule really, but I just wanted to give you a rough idea of what potential some of those individual markets might have. So hopefully that's helped you out. You can go back and pause the video on each equity curve for each different market in case you want to start developing the strategy on those individual markets further still. Hopefully by me showing you the results for all those has actually saved you time in doing some manual back testing, or maybe even save you some money if you'd seen the strategy working pretty well on euro dollar and thought, oh, I'm going to go and take this and I'm going to trade it on some other markets. Perhaps that will actually save you some money if you would have just blindly traded it on those other markets without actually seeing the back tests. And I also showed you that different entry that was suggested earlier on euro dollar and pound dollar. Of course, we could continue testing that different entry on some other markets and some other timeframes too. The combinations of testing is pretty endless, and I'm sure if you take those and take some other timeframes, markets, you will find something that works as well. But that's for you to do, or maybe me to do another time and in another video. So I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then please give it a thumbs up, and maybe even subscribe to the channel for more trading ideas like you've seen today. But until the next video, this is Jared Goodwin, and thank you.